being dotted in a secluded piece of native bush on the west coast is something that's very special to us. It gives customers, it gives ourselves the opportunities to enjoy the outdoors, relax, unwind, to get away from it all, to slow down, to clear the head. Honestly, it's pretty hard to beat.
G'day Hamish.
G'day, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Nice.
Beautiful West Coast day today.
Yeah, it is. We're pretty lucky. It's fairly stock standard, so no, it's good. Welcome.
Yeah, and this is the Crooked Cabin.
This is it. Yeah. Do you want to come in and check it out?
Yeah, love to.
Cool. G'day, I'm Hamish and welcome to our holiday rental accommodation near Lake Brunner on the west coast. I originally grew up on a farm in the Waikato, so in the North Island on a dairy farm up there, not far from Hamilton, so always had that rural background. And out of school I did a building apprenticeship. A few years passed by and the whole tiny home cabin thing was starting to become something, so I thought it would be something cool to be a part of. And with my building background I thought I'll give it a go, and originally built my first tiny home down in Queenstown, which was a proper small one. So it was 4.8 metres by 2.4 metres wide, so smaller than a 20-foot container. Packed as much into that as I could and had a go at living in it and sort of seeing what it was all about. Over that time, my parents and brothers had bought this farm that we're on here now on the west coast. There was this little patch of bush, which at the time was gorse, and now we're starting to see a lot more regenerative native forest coming through, which is epic to see. And we thought, what better place to put a tiny home in a cabin which we could set up for other people to come and experience. And we really wanted to create something that would sort of inspire that way of living for other people and showcase a way of living that has less impact on the environment, is smaller, is off-grid. Probably took about 2 years to build from sort of the original idea, and bloody stoked really with what we've got. Before I built this, there was a massive learning curve for me to understand and learn what's involved to actually properly go off-grid and have a system that would be reliable. So for me it took about 6 to 12 months of research, evenings spent on the laptop sort of plugging away trying to figure it out and understand what's out there and what's available and what basically we can get from Mother Nature in terms of sun, water and the composting piece. So it was a bit of a journey to understand that, but once I sort of had figured out, spoken to the right people, the likes of GridFree, it really sort of helped me understand what would be possible.
So tell me a bit about the build and design process for this cabin.
Yeah, so I guess being a builder is a good start for that. So I had a fair bit of experience within building spaces, and this cabin I actually designed myself. So that was something that we wanted to be very small but also very efficient with the space that we've got in here. The thinking with this is that we wanted to create something that would slot into its environment really well, which is why we've used timber on the outside, timber on the inside, and tried to put these really big windows in the place to make it feel like when you're lying in bed, you're connected with the outdoors. That has been a really big part of making sure that it's cohesive with what it's surrounded by.
Yeah.
Having the window here at the kitchen as well means that when people are in the kitchen, they're cooking or doing whatever they want to do, they've got that amazing outlook. So that is very much a key part of what we've got here.
And I guess the sun sets right there at the foot of the bed, does it?
It does. So yeah, it's magical actually when you're lying in bed. You've got Mount Takinga, and being that close to the ocean, that close to the coast, means that the sunsets are magical. Mount Takinga only adds to that, so it's pretty unreal.
I have to admit, walking around in here, it's incredibly well built. I think you've put the attention to detail to me. I really like. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. We wanted to make sure that customer experience was as good as it could be, and in something like this being so small, it is those little things that do make a big difference. You know, having a little couch behind us here for a little seating area somewhere under the bed for people to slot bags and bits and pieces like that. We've tried to put as much thought as we can into those smaller details to kind of make that experience when people turn up as simple as possible, and they don't have to think about things too much. I see some really cool stuff in here. Give us a bit of a rundown of what you've decked the place out with.
Yeah, cool. From a building perspective, heating is a big challenge in a small space like this, so a lot of people will put in a fireplace. One thing that we decided to go with, there's a little controller down here, and that's a diesel heater. So that diesel heater is super effective for heating a small space. They're super safe. You can essentially have them on all night just about. So that's one thing that's a key part of that build to make it as much of a great experience as possible. Then thinking about the customer pieces beyond that build, we've sort of tried to go above and beyond little things like a cup tray on the windowsill. We've put hot water bottles on the bed, which will, you know, try and improve that experience. We've put games on the shelves for people to use. We've got a little Bluetooth radio that people can plug in and enjoy some tunes, because when we say we're off the grid, there's also not a heck of a lot of cell phone reception out here, so those sort of little things kind of help elevate that experience. Those are a lot of the experience pieces, and then thinking through to the bathroom as well, we've got the shower in there, which is wrapped in colour steel, so it gives it a little bit more of a, I guess, natural feel. So we've put green colour steel in there, so again it's bringing that outside in, and then we've lined the bottom of that shower with Quila, so it sort of gives us real, I guess, nature experience when you're in the shower as well. So those are some of the things that we've tried to put in here, and hopefully things that people can enjoy as well while they're having their cabin experience. The inspiration for making this property off-grid was pretty much the location of it. We're at least sort of 400 or 500 metres from any sort of power source, so for us to get power to a location like this, it just wouldn't be feasible. When the guests stay here, honestly, they don't have to think about that they're actually off-grid, to be honest. We've done our best to set this up in a way that would honestly operate like your house in the city. We've put in a grunty enough solar system so when the guests walk through the door they can flick the lights. It's as you'd expect anywhere else. I found GridFree through Google. Sort of in the early stages when I was starting that research process, it was a one-stop shop. I could go to GridFree, I could get a full system with batteries, panels, you know, cables, everything was included in that package, so that part of it made it really easy for me, and as well as the advice that I got from GridFree. So I was a novice, I didn't know anything about solar, and I wanted someone to talk to, and I would jump on the phone, call GridFree, and they were more than happy to have a chat and sort of guide me through any of the silly questions that I probably had at the time when I knew nothing about it. So if you are at that phase of your journey and you know nothing about it, I think you can feel confident that when you go and talk to GridFree, they're going to be more than happy to help. They're not going to think your questions are silly, they're going to think your questions are good, and they want to educate people about this system, about solar, because they are passionate about it and they are passionate about going off grid. So it was awesome to align with a company that has those sort of values. So Craig, this is sort of the services hub of the cabin where we keep all the important gear. We've got the water tank back here, solar shed in here, which houses sort of the water pump, and then obviously the diesel for the little heater under the bed is out here as well. So it works well, sort of having it all compact and tucked away out the back, you know, away from guests, and doesn't interrupt or change their experience.
What kit are you running here?
So we've got the GridFree batch kit, so 4 panels on the roof, 4 gel batteries in the shed here. One little tweak we made was upgrade the inverter, and that just gives us the ability to have the generator option, upgrade to lithium batteries down the line, and also add, you know, additional panels on. So a little bit more up front, but it was something that we thought would add a lot of value to the pack for future proofing of the cabin. One thing we've done too is, after chatting with the GridFree team, is figuring out how to mount the panels on the roof. We've ended up laying them flat essentially. The cabin faces west and north's that way, so it's sort of the sun loops around. So laying them flat essentially is the best way that we've decided to give us as much sun visibility as we possibly can, and so far we haven't had any problems, so it's been awesome.
And so you upgraded so you could have the generator. Have you ever needed to use the generator?
No, we haven't needed that either, which is awesome. And I mean, it's testament to the quality of the system that GridFree have kind of packaged up for us. And I think that's been one of the big things, is that we haven't had to think about the little bits and pieces that we might need to tack on if we were building our own system. So yeah, it's worked brilliantly. Generator sits there. Petrol probably needs changing because it hasn't been used. So yeah, it's excellent.
And how do the guests find the solar?
No, brilliant. So that was one thing that I did have as a concern, being on the west coast, high rainfall, high cloud. Will the solar work in this environment? GridFree said yes. I still had my nerves, but they're 100% right, so it works really well. We've never had a failure, so we'll have guests sometimes back to back from time to time, even with a little bit of rain. It works brilliantly, and I think the thing that probably really surprised me the most about the solar is even when it's overcast or cloudy, they're still charging. The panels are still doing their bit. They're trickling to the battery, and that keeps the always on things running, like the fridge and the toilet fan. So no, it's brilliant. It worked really well, and no guest complaints, so that's a thumbs up, you know.
You're catching the rainwater off the roof. There's a big tank here.
Yeah.
What's this bit here on the gutter?
Yeah, we are. So this piece is all part of that sort of rain harvesting, I guess, to make sure that as the rain comes off the roof, we're trying to do our bit to get it as clean as we possibly can before it goes into the tank. So this pipe here, which leads to nowhere, is essentially a first flush system. So if it hasn't rained for, say, 2 weeks, the first, call it 10 to 20 litres that come off the roof with all that crap, the leaves and the dust and everything, that trickles into this pipe, and then it trickles out the bottom. So as that slowly fills up, then the good water basically hits the diverter and starts to head off to the tank. So it works really well, and it just means, you know, less rubbish and dust and things going into the tank, keeps the water that much cleaner.
I need one for my cabin.
Yeah, they're good. They are good. So absolutely stoked with how it's worked well. And before it goes into the cabin, it also goes through a filter, so that once it gets to the taps, it's pretty much as clean as it can be. And it's come from the sky, so there's not a lot of, you know, nasties or chlorine or anything like that, and it's as clean as you could get it pretty much. Having solar has definitely changed the way we think about energy consumption now. We don't necessarily need all the things that we need on all the time. Being off-grid in something like this, it sort of showcases that we don't need a heap of extra appliances all the time. We have become advocates for solar energy for sure, not just for solar, but being off-grid completely. The solar's been one piece of it. It's been amazing. It's honestly, yeah, it's a great way to do it. There's a misconception that we've got to try and bridge about off-grid, is that when guests do come and stay here, they think, oh, I'm going off-grid, it's going to be a challenge, but that's absolutely not the case. And people that come and stay here kind of prepare themselves for that. But actually, if you've never been off-grid, you can come and do it, and it's not going to be that hard, and it's a great way to find out and experience it. So I think if we can try and bridge that misconception with more people, that actually off-grid's not what you think it is. You can do it, and it's easy, and you don't have to think about the power, and you don't have to think about the toilet, and you can come and enjoy it. I think that'd be awesome. To get this setup built, it costs roughly 70 to 80,000. So that includes all the solar system, all the building materials, water tank, gas heaters, water pump. The only thing that would be on top of that would be a bit of building labour if you were getting someone else in. So being a builder, I've been lucky enough to sort of take advantage of that and do all that myself. So it has made things a little bit more cost effective on that front, but that's pretty much all in, deck, driveway, everything, about 70 to 80,000. The great thing about having this off-grid as a holiday rental is that the bills don't come. So month to month or week to week, we don't get any letters in the mail or anything into our email, and it's basically zero cost. There's a little bit of maintenance that you'd expect from any sort of building, and the composting toilet as well. So there's a little bit of wood chip that we need to top up from time to time, and of course the gas bottles. But otherwise, that's one of the beauties of being off, is that the bills don't come. So it's ideal. The process of listing with the rental platforms, it's honestly relatively straightforward. The big one that probably springs to mind for a lot of people is Airbnb, is the most consistent, and we've also got the rental on booking.com. So those are kind of our two key platforms, and mainly the reason for that is because a lot of the customers that actually come and stay here are international. So we get more Australians, Americans and people from Europe than we do Kiwis. So both those platforms are relatively good for that. Both of them are very straightforward. You need some good photos, you need a good description, you want to make sure you're painting the picture well of what your offering is, so that you can sort of stand out, you know, above what else is out there. So both relatively easy, both take around about a 20% surcharge, so that's something that you want to take into consideration when you're setting your price, to make sure that you know, there is a little bit of budget in it for you at the end of the day, and to cover things like cleaning and all that sort of stuff. But as a whole, it's sort of get it on there and away you go. Having a holiday rental has honestly it's been brilliant. I'm a massive fan of the outdoors. It's a huge part of my life. The hiking, the tramping, the fishing, all that sort of stuff. And often when you come to these places that are a little bit off the grid, that's what we're surrounded by. So coming here and having that opportunity to go tramping to a hike which is 200 metres up the road, or down to the Crooked River for a fly fish which is only 400 metres away, it makes it pretty special to have those things on our doorstep, and those sorts of things we don't necessarily always have when we're in the city or where a lot of us live. So to have this where other people can come and enjoy this environment as well, that's awesome. And when we get reviews coming in from people through Airbnb and booking.com and they say how much they've enjoyed it, it's pretty unreal to see that part. Being surrounded by that, it's pretty special. Yeah, fishing's one of the local attractions. It's pretty handy to the cabin, so Crooked River's perfect for it. No shortage of fish the whole way through here, so we'll have a flick, see if we have any luck. Fingers crossed. We're spinning today, so we've got a little spinner on the end of the rod, so it's a little bit less of an art than the old fly fishing. The old fly fishing can be pretty challenging, but spinning's not so bad, so it's good for someone like me to have a crack.
And so what other things are there around here for people to do?
There's all sorts. The bushwalking's a big part of it. Again, not far from the cabin, there's a few trails and whatnot that people can go and bring the hiking boots and go for a bit of a stroll.
Yeah.
Lady Lake's up there, which is a beautiful little spot that's surrounded by native bush and
oh, that sounds good.
Beautiful little spot. So if you had a kayak or a paddleboard, it's another amazing little location to check out. And then of course Lake Brunner, which is sort of 12 minutes away. Good little pub there, worth a look for a beer and a feed. And
well, I might check that out later.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah.
So it seems like the perfect place to just come and get unplugged. What do you think's the important part of doing that?
Honestly, I think it's key. A lot of us these days live a pretty busy hustle and bustle life, so it's always good for the old mind to come somewhere like this and unwind, spend a little bit of time fishing or jumping in the river and just clearing the mind for that small amount of time. The other good thing I quite like about over here is there's not a lot of cell phone reception in places, so it's quite good.
Yeah, it's good, eh?
Yeah, so you actually can really, properly unwind and sit back, and you don't have to worry about the phone ringing all the time. So yeah, no, it's pretty wicked.
Yeah, I think I'd come here just for that.
Yeah. Having a holiday rental has honestly been brilliant. We get the opportunity to use it ourselves and come off grid. I think as well this had been something that I had been thinking about for years, growing up on a farm and then sort of moving into cities and towns and living that lifestyle. It's amazing for us now to be able to come and use this, have that touch point with the outdoors, have that touch point with the farm, have that touch point with nature. So if it's something that you've thought about, give it a go. Try and make it happen. It's something that's pretty special. Off-grid living to me, it means simplicity. It means disconnecting from everything that we might have at home, and it's just that opportunity to live simple. And I think it really, when you do that, it really taps into that piece of actually, like, do I really need all the things I've got all the time? Can I simplify? Can I do life a little less hectic? I know mentally as well, when I come over the hill, am surrounded by native forest, lakes, and a beautiful little cabin or tiny home, it is really an opportunity to get away from it all, to slow down, to clear the head. It's special, and I think it's something that everyone should try and do from time to time.